me if I have one. A TV, splurging with your blunt, much highly nutritious. Yeah, you miss him.
Mr. Duncan is
My own money, bothering me if I have one. A TV, splurging with your blunt, much highly nutritious. Yeah, you to give him money.
Mr. Duncan is
My own money, bothering me if I have one. Splurging with your blunt, much highly nutritious. Yeah, you to give him.
Hello, my little nose miners here on Rumble. Good to see you here again. I think for 2 weeks we're not able to stream on YouTube. So look, hit the Rumble button, like. There's a promo code $30 off Mug Club using the promo code Free Speech. All of that. I wanted to talk about something here really quickly before we go in because we have an intro here dedicated to my children, and I have a children's book coming out in the fall. Being a new dad, you'll notice I'm pretty private about this. I don't upload pictures, videos of my little ones anywhere. They just turned 1 here this summer, and there's been a lot of personal, there's been some close calls too. So it's something that I keep private because they need to choose if they ever want to be in the public spotlight. Rubs me the wrong way when parents thrust them forward. But I do think that a lot of people do a disservice to dads or parents out there by telling you how hard it is and wait till you have kids as though you're signing your life away. And they often say you can't understand what it's like until you have kids. And I was thinking this weekend, how can I describe it so that people can understand what it's like? And it is tough to describe, but I sort of distilled it to this. And it may not be 100% accurate. I reserve the right to change my mind on this. Picture, if for those of you who are not fathers, picture the person, think of the person who you've loved most in your life, ever. Could be your mom, could be a parent, could be a sibling, could be your wife or your husband. We're not talking about anything romantic here, but just that love that you have for someone. Someone who, when you think of, you just well up with joy, pride, love. You want to hug them. You constantly just want to be with them. Whoever it is who you have loved most in your life, picture that person. Okay. The love for your children is at least that. So he has something to compare it to. It's at least that. Then add to it, and of course humans are way more important than pets, but as a dog lover, I'm just using this as an analogy, so hold your chats. The being you love most, that you've loved most in your life, then add to it whatever sentient being you've ever had in your life, whether it's a person you have to take care of or a dog, that is completely dependent on you for their survival. That's what it's like. It is the deepest love you've ever had for anyone combined with someone or something that is entirely helpless and depends on you to live. And of course, if you have a dog, that bonds you with them, right? Because you are their caretaker. Combine those two things and you have a pretty good idea as to what it's like and how special it is to be a parent, to be a dad, to be a mom. And it's a great thing. It's not easy. I just wanted to take a second to talk about that because I feel like a lot of people make you believe, or certainly made me believe, that you're signing your life away when you have kids. It could not be further from the truth. Hopefully this gives you some scope. And the book coming out this fall, children's book, it's non-political, will be dedicated to my little ones. And so is this song. Enjoy the intro.
Biden farts, do-do-do-do-do-do. Biden farts, do-do-do-do-do-do. Biden farts, do-do-do-do-do-do. Biden farts.
Biden sharts do 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 do. Biden sharts do 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 do. Biden sharts do 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 do. Biden sharts with the poke do 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 do. With the poke do 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 do. With the poke do 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 do. Biden sharts with the Dutch do 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 do. With the Dutch do 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 do. With the Dutch do 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 do. Biden farts. Biden farts do 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 do. Biden farts do 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 do. Biden farts do 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 do. Biden farts.
Enjoy more Biden farts at louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub or download the track for free on Spotify at Louder with Crowder, Apple, or wherever podcasts are sold or available for free. That's the sound of Monday. Watch, that intro is going to be the biggest thing that we've ever done here. All the work we've put in and changed my minds and
Right.
hundreds, if thousands of dollars, if not millions, over the course of years on super videos, on location, stings, hidden camera, and just a couple of fart sounds and the former vice president in a cartoon.
Done.
Billion played.
Yeah.
More than one person wrote that.
And that'll be the reason we There's no I in farts.
No,
There's definitely not.
there's one in Biden,
There is one in Biden.
but not sharp.
And there's synonyms. I don't know how that works. We have a lot to get to today. Now, look, here's one thing, I very much appreciate everyone here on Rumble. If you're listening on audio, or of course, Mug Club, we have the promo code Free Speech. You get $30 off. You go to louderwithcrowder.com/Mug Club, where we'll do a full extra hour of show talking about the Finnish Prime Minister, because we don't want to talk about that not on Mug Club.
No.
Slow news. Sometimes when it's a slow news day, that's where we sort of freewheel a little bit, and these end up being the shows that get us in the most trouble. We have a few things to talk about. Brian Stelter, gone.
Oh,
Canned.
poor guy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Well,
give him golden Crocs.
yes. That's his award. Yeah. His glove case. His championship case. What's the word I'm looking for? Trophy case.
Trophy
It's
case.
just a bunch of Crocs and wieners. So we'll talk about him.
Hot dogs.
And then frozen hot dogs encased in gold. And then Andrew Tate has been removed here from TikTok, from Facebook, from Instagram, from Twitter, all on the same weekend. And look, they've both been removed, Brian Stelter from CNN and Andrew Tate from all of the social media platforms for two entirely different reasons. One is being censored because of his views, being removed because of his views. The other was fired because he sucks at his job. So two very different things, and Brian Stelter is not being removed from social media platforms. But I want you to think about this for a second. First off, a question, you guys can comment below, is are you familiar with Andrew Tate, and what were your thoughts on him before he was removed? I think he's right on some things. I think he's wrong on some things. He might be on the show here at some point in the near future. And then, is it really a conspiracy if this is now the third, fourth, fifth time where someone is removed from all of the digital town squares in one weekend? I mean, it used to be, hey, there's a meeting with the Bilderbergs and the Rockefellers, and people would say, well, that's conspiratorial. Well, hold on a second. Alex Jones, Donald Trump, sitting president at the time, and now Andrew Tate, removed from everything. You're talking about TikTok, you're talking about Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Apple with Alex Jones. Of course there was a conference call. Of course there was communication that took place. That's the scary part, is they can all collude together. They've done it time and time again, and they're doing it out in the open. Remember when Journalist with Andrew Breitbart was a big story?
Yeah.
It was a couple of journalists who were out there doing the bidding of Barack Obama, having information, right, sent to them from the White House to disseminate as a positive story for that administration. That was a huge scandal back then. Now out in the open, they're just banning people they don't like. I'm telling you, that's some scary stuff. We are definitely circling that drain until something is done, and most Republicans are useless. All right, Gerald A., how are you?
I'm doing well. Can we please, if we have him on the show, let's not do it when we're on YouTube. Can we do it on Rumble? Because that'll certainly get us kicked off of YouTube.
Andrew Tate?
forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
If he ends up being on, let's on Rumble, please.
Yeah, same thing with President Donald Trump. When
Yeah.
we have him on, we'll probably have to do it only on Rumble.
Well, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can't allow him to be anywhere.
No.
And then, of course, you know him, you love him, fastest man on his feet. We are on tour. Go to louderwithcrowder.com/tour to buy tickets. Phoenix, September 16th. Houston, September 17th. Then there's Nashville, there's Red Bank, there's Baltimore. There are all these dates. You can go buy the tickets there. Dave Landau, how are you?
Ahoy. Good. How about you, sir?
Angry because you got rid of the mustache.
What?
Grow it back.
It left at night.
Did it?
Yeah, it just I woke up and
Crawled off. Like one of those. What are those green
Stole my
caterpillars that hang from
wallet.
the trees up north?
Caterpillars.
No, they're green and they're slimy. I don't know.
Yeah, those are weird ones. I don't like them.
No. They're like between a slug and a cat. It's like pick a lane.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, is it an inchworm? You know what I'm talking about?
Maybe it's
You
an
guys can
inchworm.
comment below. This is most important. We'll take your chats later.
That was my nickname in high school.
We'd get them in Michigan. I haven't seen them in Texas, but in Michigan, they'd be hanging from the trees.
Yeah, I
and
know
you
what
go
you mean.
camping.
Yeah,
They're
they're
like
the green and they're creepier.
Yeah, they're
not
like
like
tiny.
They're like the furry ones.
Are those
where you're
grub
like,
worms? Is that what you're talking about?
What are you?
Bear
you
Grylls?
Timon and Pumbaa?
Yeah.
So you plan on eating?
No, if I had to.
You're like,
but
well, yeah. I mean, if you're out in the wilderness, sure.
Hakuna Ma, shut up, Gerald.
yes,
If
sir.
you're on alone and you're constipated,
I still want to do that segment so bad. The women from Alone. All right, look. This is kind of a downer off the bat, but I think we need to talk about it. This is what's trending right now. It's important. And by the way, I think it's important for all of us to be consistent. You have heard me talk about in this show. I've never said #back the blue because it's silly. I think that you should support local law enforcement where possible and where they are effective. And of course, you should restructure them, retrain them. Whatever you need to do, disband them, recreate them in some new image, in Carl Winslow's image, if they're not working.
Yeah.
Now, this is entirely consistent with the conservative view, right? Municipal police are necessary, and there should be checks and balances. Municipalities, states can figure out what they need to do with their local police force. Liberals, of course, leftists believe that we should defund the police. Okay, that's a local issue. Then they believe that we should trust the FBI, DOJ, CIA, federalized, militarized, right? National intelligence agencies. Inherently, as conservatives, we are distrustful. I don't know why conservatives don't argue back. This is incredibly effective. It's actually proof that we believe in federalism. Yeah, local police force, of course, makes sense. They can actually be effective. They serve a purpose. FBI, CIA, DOJ, those guys are dicks.
That's fairly quick.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just straight to the point.
Yeah, it's the same. It's like just like taxes or the Department of Education. Well, yeah, I think the federal department sucks, and I think local departments have the right to do what they want to do. The war on drugs. Well, I don't think that it should be a federal issue, but states can do whatever they want to do. If you want to have hallucinogenic mushrooms in Colorado Springs, go ahead. But it doesn't seem to be working out for you.
Federal's done so well with the war. on
Yeah,
drugs.
I know.
Yes.
Nary a Chapo to be found.
No.
El Chapo. Okay.
Nary a kid to pick up a bag and die of a fentanyl overdose.
Yeah,
Great
what is it?
job.
Oh, 19 this weekend?
Yeah, I know.
But building a wall, that would be absurd.
Yeah, that's what a silly
Just
idea.
ignore the fact that illegal immigrants cost you $100-something billion. I believe it's $116 billion a year, the taxpayer. I'm going by rote here, but I'm pretty sure that's right. Control room, you can find that for later.
a lot of
and a wall would cost a few $1 billion. It wouldn't even be close.
Not a good investment.
Not to mention stopping the fentanyl. Okay, so that's to set up here. And I want to know what you guys think about this. The Arkansas State Police footage. If you haven't seen it, I warn you, it's disturbing. Some police have been suspended after footage was made public of them violently, I would use the term subduing, but it's not appropriate. That's the term that they used. A man, and I warn you, it's disturbing, and I will, spoiler alert, I think that these guys absolutely deserve the fullest of punishment that they can encounter based on what we see right now. Here's the clip. So there's no audio here. The man was identified as a 27-year-old Randall Worcester.
Wow.
By the way, that's a
gets
white
worse.
guy down there, just to be clear.
Watch the lead officer, knees him in the head, right?
Yeah.
Slams his head into the pavement, keeps hitting him.
There is no reason for this. And by the way, this is also why you don't want to ban chokeholds.
Yeah.
Guess what? If that guy was violently resisting arrest, it doesn't seem like he is to the point that he needs to be
Well,
smashed into the
Certainly
concrete.
Not now.
Now watch the reaction. Oh crap, we're being recorded.
Yep.
Now I need to focus on.
Oh, no, accountability.
Yeah.
That's a big measurement of a man, just so you know. How apprehensive are they? Are they like vampires to sunlight when it comes to a camera? There should not be an issue. If you are public law enforcement, there should be no issue with someone filming you. You're supposed to be a public servant. You should be thrilled for them to be filming you serving your public, the taxpayers, the people who pay your salary and these unbelievable pensions. There is no justification for that. I don't know everything about that. We don't know. There will be more details that will emerge. But I can tell you, in that moment, you did not need three men kneeing him in the head, smashing his face against the concrete. But this is how muddied the waters have become, right?
Yeah.
Leftists don't want guns. Leftists don't want tasers. Leftists don't want chokeholds. The most peaceful thing that could have been done there is, of course, the man be choked, boom, strangled, which means it's blood choke, go unconscious, cuff him. I don't know in this case if they're allowed to do that or if they ban chokeholds in the department. Either way, those guys should never see a badge again.
No, absolutely not. And what are you supposed to do? Like, I understand cops have to use force to subdue sometimes an assailant, whatever, right? If you've got 3 police officers on you, one of them is continuously hitting you in the head, you can't stop it. The other one's trying to grab your arms. The other one's got you and it's kneeing you in the legs, in the back, in the butt. What are you supposed to do? Lay there and take it?
You didn't need to add the butt, by the way. That's the least. That's the least concerning of everything.
I didn't want to be.
I don't care that he was gently spanked.
It was kneeing him in the booty. He wasn't doing the back.
I
no,
think
but
you
what are
just
you
say,
supposed
thank
to do?
you, sir, may I have another?
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
and I get it. Like, obviously, don't resist arrest first. That's great, but it doesn't justify that.
No, his charges
way.
are second-degree burglary, resisting arrest, refusal to submit, possessing an instrument of a crime, criminal trespass, criminal mischief, terroristic threatening, second-degree assault. Look, I will tell you this. As someone who has had trespassing but not criminal trespassing from a crowd of confronts at Juiceland, I'm alled to go back, by the way. It was just 1 year at that Juiceland in Austin.
You just prefer not
Was
to.
the instrument of crime John Tesh's piano?
It could be. It could be Brothers Tesh. His brother Tesh, the other Tesh.
Is
the
there
lesser
another Tesh?
No. There's no other Tesh.
Well, yeah, if there is, he's lesser.
Yes. When they add up these charges, that means there probably isn't something so severe, typically speaking. When they add up mischief, it's like if someone is committing a serious violent assault, they don't add the trespass and the mischief. They kind of do, but you don't need it if the guy is committing a serious felony. Refusing to submit, resisting arrest, sure, there's a difference between resisting arrest and assaulting a police officer. I don't see that on here. So if he didn't assault a police officer, again, those officers are not concerned for their own safety. You do not beat someone simply because you don't like them. You don't beat someone into submission to cuff them. You only hit someone or get violent if you're a police officer if your life or your safety is in danger. We've talked about that. I get it. It's a hard job. This is not one of those cases.
I think a knee to the dome makes sense for mischief.
Yeah.
They outlawed that in UFC. Do you understand what this
Mischief.
means?
Why were you beating him? Shenanigans.
Refusal to submit to a butt kicking.
There was some goofery about.
Yes. He was swimming in someone's pool. They came back, so we stuck a taser in the pool
We all grabbed our
and a
batons,
hairdryer.
Gave him a wooden shampoo.
All right. Here, what do we have? We have the Arkansas Governor Hutchinson tweeted about the incident, saying, by the way, this is a Republican. I have spoken with Colonel Bill Bryan of the Arkansas State Police, and the local arrest incident in Crawford County will be investigated pursuant to the video evidence and the request of the prosecuting attorney. There you go. That's a good way to handle it. It's not a rash reaction, but it is saying, look, we're going to make sure that justice is served here.
Absolutely. And all the context is needed all the time. Again, doesn't necessarily support anything that I saw there. It doesn't absolutely support anything that I saw. Let me be clear,
Right.
especially on the head stuff. That was just way, way, way over the line.
But for you, the butt stuff, yeah.
The butt stuff is, I don't know. Apparently half the population thinks that's totally fine. And doctors.
I would welcome being kneed in the butt.
Yes, that's the perfect place.
It's like rubber Kevlar.
It stings, but that's about it, right? But here's the left's response. They're like, oh, you be a police officer and beat somebody up and you just get suspended. No, that's the process. The process, you suspend them, you investigate, and then they get charged with the crime. That's what happens.
Right.
Stop losing your mind.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're right. Like Stephen with the the reaction to the camera shouldn't look like Donald Sutherland in Invasion of the Body Snatchers,
Yes.
where the guy's just like, like that's not.
It also shouldn't look like Bigfoot.
Yeah.
No.
Pacific Northwest just moving away.
It's a pretty big admission of guilt.
Well, look, let me say this. Remember how with the George Floyd issue where I said, look, I will take George Clooney up on his challenge. He said, if you're willing to have someone kneel on your neck for 9 minutes and you can make it through, okay, he's not guilty. We did it. You may find it offensive. You may find it distasteful. Some people try to say that it was racist. I don't fully understand that. But I will say this. I did that with George Floyd because I did not believe that is what killed him. I did not believe that was a choke. For 9 minutes. You can go back and find that on YouTube. I won't be recreating this.
No offer to do that. Yeah. Ground and pound with no defense.
Also, a white guy. So can we put to bed the idea that this is always racially motivated? And so this case notwithstanding, let me reiterate something that we've talked about. There was a Harvard study that found that the most extreme use of force officer-involved shootings found no racial differences in either the raw data or when contextual factors were taken into account. That's from Harvard. White men who are armed are more likely to be shot than black men who are armed. It's the stat that they use is unarmed black men are shot more often. Okay. They also violently resist arrest more often if you look into those statistics. Also, an officer is something like 16 times more likely to be shot by a black man than a black man by an officer.
Yeah.
So this is a case where police brutality occurs everywhere. I think that we should go through the due process that everyone needs to be afforded in this country before we draw any final conclusions. That being said, what I see on this video, much like the governor of Arkansas, I can't imagine a justification for it, barring some kind of grotesque act of violence or being like a serial child rapist like, a Rosenbaum, the guy who Kyle Rittenhouse.
John's out there with the fashion police.
Yes. Just Joan Rivers with a taser. Is there anything else that we need to add to this?
No, I think
Two
we've done it.
different
And
socks.
as more information comes out, we'll let you know. Like
There was a quick update.
there's a quick update. Uh-oh.
Oh no.
How quick?
Very quick. It looks like two of the deputies were suspended, and one is on administrative leave. And one of the things that you can't hear in the audio is a woman who can't be seen in there because there is no audio. Don't beat him, don't beat him. He needs his medicine.
Oh,
Which
that's
she received.
They're like, that's what I'm giving him. And I'm like, oh, geez.
A
That's
taste of his own.
that's going to make the video look even worse.
That's what he was turning to the camera and saying, actually. He's like, I'll give you a taste of your own medicine. Make sure you write that down. You got that on the camera?
That was good, right?
Throwing out cheesy Seagal lines. Yes. Oh, he's getting his medicine all right.
Oh, man.
I'm about to criminally trespass on your head. Make sure you get that camera.
You got that? That was a shout out.
Remember Steven Seagal, that movie? What was it with DMX?
Oh.
They were watching the security
Oh,
footage
it's
for 4
garbage.
minutes, and
Yeah.
they're going through, like, look at his watch. This tells it. And he goes, he's black.
It's like everybody in the room is just like, thank you.
Thank you,
Yes.
Seagal.
Even
DMX is just like, all right.
Even when he controls the lines, he's a douche.
It's like, wow, that's good information. Thank you.
Yes. This is the brilliant insight we've come to rely upon Steven Seagal for.
I wrote that.
He's doing a documentary, by the way, for Russia. Remember he was in Ukraine.
yeah,
he was
yeah,
looking
yeah.
at the prison camps. He's like, this is bullshit.
We should just shove them in one.
Yeah, here you go. Experience it for yourself. Now write a book.
Just spray it with water, throw some electricity in there.
Throws their numbers off. This is a cell created for 4, but Seagal's in there, so I guess it's just a solitary confinement now.
Yes, he's smushing through the bars like marshmallow.
The little window where they put in the food is just a conveyor belt.
Yeah. He's looking for the pie train. You don't have one? I don't understand.
This is the worst prison I've ever been to. All right. Speaking of a prison of his own making, nice segue, Brian Stelter fired. CNN, they canceled his show. Reliable sources. And look, here's something. I don't want to dance on the California king-size casket of Brian Stelter. It is, of course, sad for him. You know, he's being paid $1 million a year to do his show that nobody watched. But I do think it's important to note to juxtapose this with Andrew Tate. Look, just because someone doesn't have their show renewed, that's not where I say, oh, someone's canceled. That is a good example of a publisher choosing to not broadcast something anymore. His free speech is not being silenced. He's still available on Twitter, on Instagram, on, I don't know if he's on YouTube, but again, if a fat asexual amoeba screams in the forest. So
The answer is no.
don't spoil the ending, Gerald. They canceled Brian Stelter's show, and how he handled his final show is exactly how you would expect a leftist hack who has had no ratings and no public trust for years. It's exactly how you would expect them to end their show. Here's a clip.
I believe the free world needs CNN to be strong, and it will continue to be, because all of us are going to help make that happen. The free world needs a reliable source.
Pizza.
So do you.
4 reliable sources for the last time. I'm Brian Stelter. Thanks for being with us.
But no one was with you.
All 8 people watching.
You know,
The staff.
Both.
I'm sure going to miss how not gay he was.
Yes. He was that kind of old school rugged news anchor, you know, like Barbara Walters.
Yeah, true. And dapper. Like Rock Hudson when he had a cough that wouldn't go away.
Right. He also played Doctor with Gomer Pyle.
That's right.
It's just like he's a man's man. Like, you know, he's like Nathan Lane in The Birdcage.
Yes. Just rugged.
Old rapscallion.
Does he? He has the Joker mouth. Like he fell into the vat only part way.
Yeah. Well, that's
Like,
because
it was
he
like
got
at the Hostess factory.
he got Botox for his laugh lines, but he tried to eat it.
Yes.
It's like in my mouth, like a squirt gun. Ah!
Yeah, he got Botox, but immediately saw cake. On his way out. And they're like, "Stop looking at cake."
Yeah. They're like, well, when you get Botox, you're going to want to rest your face muscles for, you know, like 3 hours. I'll starve. I'm going to miss Brian Stelter. Genuinely, I am, because there's nothing more perfect than someone in mainstream media with a show called Reliable Sources who refuses to provide any of his sources.
That's true. Wasn't that like a 30-year show, too? Like,
No!
No, not him. The show Reliable.
Oh,
Sources.
the show Reliable Sources.
He's 36, which is also staggering.
Totally. Totally right.
I mean, I couldn't believe he was younger than me.
Yeah, whatever it is that, you know, the elite do, drinking the blood of the innocent to remain young, he's doing the opposite.
Yeah, whatever he did. Maybe it's the drinking the blood of the old.
Yeah, he's going down to old folks' homes in New York. It's the fountain of youth. And this is the new and improved Stelter. This is ad hominem, but it's okay.
Yeah.
This is the new and improved Stelter. You should see him when he was young. It was, believe it or not, it was worse.
Oh,
It was
really?
actually.
Yeah, it was absolutely worse. So we'll get to some of the reasons as to why he was fired. Also,
He's crying in his kitchen right now. His wife just hates him more.
and by kitchen you mean his entire loft.
Yes, his entire house.
They're showing him around his Manhattan apartment.
Yeah,
like,
it's
this is a junior suite. He's like, oh, so if there could be a full kitchen and also a junior kitchen.
This is my bathroom kitchen.
Yes.
This is my foyer kitchen.
Right next, instead of a toilet paper roll, it's a hot plate. So
A closet with a microwave in it.
And by the way, he got everything wrong. Jussie Smollett, wrong. Russia hoax, wrong.
Yeah.
Kyle Rittenhouse, wrong. Nick Sandmann, a racist, an expensive wrong for the network.
Yep.
You can just go down the list, and this guy believes that he is a reliable source. So for him to go out on a high note, we've decided, of course, to dedicate, and he is still alive. We got that wrong last time. Time to close, Brian Stelter.
I have been waiting to share something with all of you for the past 6 months. It was late at night, which is why I was getting ready to grapple with LGBTQ Americans. So that's really where the story begins.
Time to close. Endings and beginnings are ending and beginning now.
What will historians say about this moment?
Mr. Stelter is the biggest minister of misinformation I have ever heard.
Time to close. Endings and beginnings are ending and beginning now.
I mean, credit where it's due. You were just informing me.
Yeah. So the show has been running since 1992. Obviously, sans Brian Stelter in the beginning. He didn't just get fired for being bad. He was so bad at his job, he killed a 30-year running show.
He's like Lenny with the rabbit if they were ratings.
He killed an entire. All the previous hosts are like, "Oh, there goes my legacy."
Also, he was eating beans with ketchup on air, which I thought was funny.
Well, his safe room also had a kitchen. It's weird, just in case.
That's a very deep Steinbeck reference at that point, if you're not familiar. He just crushed it. He wanted those ratings so bad, he killed it.
Yeah, he was the worst reliable source ever.
A show that he's been watching since he was 6, just standing there looking at the TV in his mom's high heels.
Yeah. That'd be like if like Dylan Roof had been watching the McLaughlin Group.
Yeah.
It just gets on like, well, this isn't going to work anymore. They basically told Brian Stelter, look, what you need to do with this show, what we're going to do is take the most successful show so you can't screw it up. What you need to do as far as something new is nothing.
Yeah.
He's like, say no more.
Well, I know this. Whoever he had dirt on to get a show, they're not at CNN anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
his
right
leverage
after
left.
Tubin left.
Yeah. Apparently, there isn't that much of a need or a void to be filled by a fat Ethel Merman.
That's a large void to be filled.
Can we get a gayer Dom DeLuise?
They just went through the Hollywood squares and everyone was dead.
Yeah. Like,
Bruce Valanche said no.
Yeah. Mash Dom and Paul Lynde into one guy.
$1 million a year. I can't afford the pay cut.
No.
Jeez,
That's
welcome to the real world.
Whoa.
And by the way, just so you know, this is what I was not joking. We've talked about this many times on this show. He's having a tough time, Brian Stelter. I'm 100% serious. Back in February. Yes, so I want to reiterate it. He should know that he has a job offer here, just to remind you. Last week, here we go to Brian Stelter, which I want him to be on the air forever. Please give him a lifetime contract, CNN.
On Lifetime.
And if not, we will give him a lifetime contract. We'll pay CNN, just to host his show.
There you go.
We'll pay for the
this
show.
idea.
It's free airtime, and I'll pay for it.
Save Brian Stelter. Let's start.
Oh, okay.
A GoFundMe.
Might be the funniest gag of all time if we just pay him a lot of money to be in third chair.
And
you just don't let him speak. You just duct tape his mouth.
He has to say only extremist things.
Yes.
That are extraordinarily offensive, and we're like, Brian Stelter, that's
Wow.
Why would you say that?
I can't believe. I mean, I knew
We have Jews who work here.
I mean, come on. And then I'll be like, we don't.
Totally serious.
So that was April, February of last year. And by the way, $200,000 a year is a starting offer. $200,000 a year, Brian Stelter. You can have a show here at Mug Club, and you can do whatever you want. You just have to provide your reliable sources, references publicly, as we do. You can do any show you want. We'll even pay you to move. It's a serious offer.
He's melting right now. By the way, we're not the only people.
Does the word
that,
brunch? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
A free brunch is not included, but we are not the only people that are looking to hire.
The word brunch should be in the
Stelter.
show.
Yeah, I can include brunch. What are you talking about?
No. So the Babylon Bees, Seth Dillon actually tweeted out an offer. Says, "Hey, at Brian Stelter, would you be interested in working for the Bee? We're looking for talent with experience putting out funny fake news. You come highly recommended. Shoot me a DM if you're interested."
Oh, okay. So they did it too.
Yeah, it's perfect. He's a reliable source.
Good for him. Well, look, we just asked that you entertain our offer first, since we made it like 8 months before.
That's true.
Babylon Bee.
Well, I mean,
if they offer you more money, I'll do a bidding. Look, this is a good thing. A bidding war. You are desirable, Stelter. People want you.
That's a good thing.
Starting offer, $200,000 annually. Not a joke.
Also, Babylon Bee probably doesn't have a guy who does a spot-on impression of you.
Exactly. Let alone 3.
He can just sit in for you sometimes. No one will know the difference.
Imagine doing Candy S with Brian Stelter in it.
Just talking to him.
I would also have him on for an Ash Wednesday, Brian Stelter. I'm serious. I would have you on for an Ash Wednesday if you don't want to do the show, but we will hire you to do a show here. All you have to do is make your references publicly available because they're so reliable.
They are.
And eat a phallic lollipop.
No,
that won't be in a contract. That's one of the. I mean, that's one of those. It's a handshake.
It's a right.
Yeah. No, I mean, he'd bring it.
Yes.
This is his side of
that way he can write off his phallic lollipop factory. So one day he's broadcasting from his the
IRS his house. This is a Wonka factory of dirty lollipops. In a world.
I'm broadcasting from my leather swing distributorship.
Yes.
There you go, IRS. It's the write-off.
Is that a white chocolate fountain? No.
Yes.
He broadcasts from Golden Corral so he can write off every bill.
More steak!
He's not fighting anybody.
All right, look.
It's a 4.5-hour show.
It only stops because they run out of battery.
Who's that jumping at? You go home.
Yeah.
You scare my wife.
Yeah, it's called Please Leave with Brian Stelter.
That's basically what his show was on CNN.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. He's had it twice.
I love how Brian Stelter thought he would be the hatchet man for just forgot Zucker. Zucker over there at CNN, right? That was the guy. He was a hatchet man for him. And if you watch Brian Stelter on his show, he would always have, this is the stuff that maybe you don't necessarily realize as you're watching. He would just have a carousel, remember, of Google, Facebook, Twitter. Even if it was completely irrelevant for the story. And by the way, it wasn't like it was his Twitter, his YouTube, it was just saying, see, Facebook, Google, Twitter, you'll kill me last, right? That's all it was. It was constantly trying to appease the powers that be. He is the crony, the lackey in every single film who I was just doing my job poorly. Now, CNN chairman, CEO, the new one, Chris Licht, which is really unfortunate because Brian Stelter got really excited when he heard his name.
Ooh.
And then the guy is the one who gave him the old banhammer. Chris Licht, I'm listening.
Can't wait for what
You're fired. You had my curiosity. Now you have my attention. Straight. He's straight.
Totally.
Well, no, he's very heterosexual.
Very heterosexual.
Very.
CNN chairman, CEO Chris Licht told staffers in the aftermath of Stelter's firing, this is according to Deadline, there will be moves you may not agree with or understand. They all said, we understand.
I was about to say, was he talking about
I want to acknowledge to everyone that this is a time of change. I know that it is unsettling. And everyone he was speaking to said,
what?
Yeah, fine. We're good.
We're good. No need to talk about it.
CNN, this was in April. It was taken over by the Warner Discovery Network. And John Malone, a top investor, by the way, did say, just so you know, that he wanted to see the network, quote, evolve back to the kind of journalism that it started with and have actual journalists. Now, here's the thing. This guy may or may not be telling the truth, but CNN, for the longest time, said the most trusted name in news. It would have James Earl Jones say it, right? The guy from The Sandlot. They would have him say, the most trusted name in news. And then they said, we need to actually do real news. And Brian Stelter said, oh, my God, I'm getting fired. He just knew. But keep in mind, they said this and they had Cuomo, right? They said this and they have Acosta. They said this and they have Stelter. Now they're saying, no, we really, really, really mean it. So I hope so, but expect a reset and them to do the exact same thing because they were constantly presenting themselves as objective news. Keep in mind that up until the moment of Brian Stelter's firing, no one admitted publicly that Brian Stelter was biased, and he would swear up and down that he was not. What does that tell you? Behind the scenes, they go, look, this is getting too obvious. We need to fire this guy. Publicly, they say, the most trusted name in news. Well, then why have a meeting? Say we need to, quote, evolve back to the kind of journalism that it started with.
Yeah.
Right now, you're claiming it's journalism. Don't believe your lying eyes and ears.
And I don't think it's just the main, kind of leads for these guys. I think it's a culture issue. Like, they've gotten so far away from journalism, I don't think they know what it is anymore.
Right.
Well, they're just selling a side. I mean, they have been for years at this point.
But lying about it. That's why we don't go after MSNBC quite as much, because they're very obviously putting a pro-left agenda out there, right? But
Plus, they can't keep track of Joe Reed's haircuts.
That's true. You think $1 million a year is what would make you sick? You would be absolutely on your knees throwing up if you know what Maddow just signed a contract for.
$50 million a year.
That's terrible.
What is it? How much is she being paid?
You say 50 or 1?
15.
Oh, no, I think it's 30.
$30 million a year?
I think it's 30, 25.
$30 million a year for that guy?
Wow. For Egon Spangler?
To do less work, by the way. They're actually paying
Is that Ramus?
Yes.
I have no idea, to do less work.
What a terrible choice.
Just signed a new contract.
I
love that he gave the full name of Egon from Ghostbusters rather than Ramus. It's so accurate.
Thank you.
That's pretty
Wow, $30 million a year.
I think it's
Again,
30, yeah.
consider
Fact check
joining
me,
Mug
just
Club.
bounce around.
LightOutCrowder.com/Mug Club. We are not fun. Notice no sponsor today.
No.
Aside from Mug Club. Enter in the promo code Free Speech, you get $30 off. Rachel Maddow's salary is far more than our entire budget and nowhere near the viewership that we have in the demographic that Egon would.
Yeah.
That's such a good call. So look, and Rachel Maddow is what she is.
Yeah.
She
Obvious.
is what she is. You know, I don't care. If they let you know where they stand, I don't care if you're left, if you're right. Just don't lie to me.
Right.
That was my primary problem with CNN and Stelter. And, of course, Stelter worked behind the scenes to ingratiate himself to the worst. Well, himself. I can use plural with him. I mean, he needs to buy 2 seats on a plane. He was trying to ingratiate himself to the worst of the worst, those in big tech, right? Those in social media, and consistently would support the banning of people from those platforms for speech that he would label hate speech, meaning speech he didn't like. But here's the thing. Stelter is clearly not committed to any sort of ethical journalism. I don't care. I'll still give you a show here. $200,000 a year. Just provide your sources. Don't care what you do. You can broadcast from any of your food factory write-offs. But here is actually, I believe, a montage of his long and storied history reporting on lies as though it's real journalism.
Robert Mueller's probe seems to be broadening in various countries and at the same time tightening in on members of President Trump's family. But the more Mueller discovers, the more Trump's TV boosters have to deny, deny, deny. How do you cover a person who twists truth like it's a game? It's an echo of 2016. It's about emails again. This time, emails from Joe Biden's son, Hunter. So let's take a look at how a storyline
detailing
is
a crime.
manufactured.
Of course.
In this case, a loudly anti-Biden storyline, redounding to Trump's benefit. I do think we will
Misinformation,
see
he says.
Smollett get back to work because the narrative is once again changed from victim, to villain, back to victim. It's been very confusing.
No. That's the only man who, after we all knew better, was still back to victim. That's how married this guy was to Jussie Smollett, having 2 Nubian kings pour bleach on him, tie him with a shoelace, and say, "This is MAGA country, bitch." That's how much this guy wanted to believe it to be true. I wish I loved anything as much as Brian Stelter loved that initial Jussie Smollett story.
Yeah, it's not confusing, Brian. He should be in jail for the crimes he committed.
Right.
He went from victim to owing the city over $100,000 in damages because he clearly lied, back to victim. Wait, hold on a second. You're a journalist?
A lie that even like all black people were like, I don't believe this man at all.
Yeah.
I don't want to jump on this.
They were saying, hey, yeah, we're not with him. And Brian Stelter was like, that's fine, more for me.
Yeah.
Right. He's
This
like
is MAGA country.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Chicago?
Yeah.
So he faked all of it. Yeah. And he wrote a check, you say.
Yes.
That said fake robbery.
Yeah.
On the memo line.
Two black guys who are going to say they're MAGA guys.
Yes.
It's a long memo.
Yeah.
You're very stupid.
Where are we going to get the news? I don't know. Pay less? I don't give a shit.
And the cops were like, why is your sandwich intact and your drink unspilled?
Yes. And I noticed that none of the bleach got on your leather jacket.
Yeah, that's odd.
That's weird.
Seems very
Strange.
performative.
Your noose seems very unnoose-like.
Yeah.
It appears to be a necktie.
Yeah, it's a slip knot.
Which you could have taken off on your walk to the police station.
Don't worry. Brian Stelter has your back. He's the guy at CNN. You'll notice that the camera hates him.
Yes. Well, the camera adds 50 pounds.
Yeah, the camera adds a couple hundred.
Yes. And it's not a single camera show, so they have to take, addition.
Yeah,
Several hundred pounds.
By the way, here's the problem. It's not just that he was canceled, that he was, and I mean canceled in the literal sense from CNN. It's that other people still want to keep the lie alive. Do not allow the left to be completely unaccountable. For years, they said this was reliable sources. This was reliable journalism. This was real journalism, just like they tried to do with Walter Cronkite, Dan Rather, Brian Williams. Make sure you remind them. So create a master list for yourself of people who were journalists, right, from the golden era to today. You have Chris Cuomo, of course, as well, over there at CNN. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Yeah. Here's the problem. Even though we know this, schools still, for some reason, have decided to use his program as an example of quality journalism.
Right.
That's the problem, is school, big tech, right? School, 5 companies, when we're talking about big tech. The rest of the media, it's not a conspiracy when you see the results firsthand of this all happening at the same time. School, how did they get it wrong? Let me ask you this. How did all of the teachers' unions, everyone in charge of the curriculum, who, by the way, have decided that we need racially equitable math,
they do, yeah,
say, Brian Stelter should be in journalism? You think it's an oversight? And by the way, he's not alone.
Yes.
Mainstream media, of course, it's a wing, right? It's a strong arm of the Democratic Party. Here you go. 2014, Washington Post reported that only 7% of journalists were Republican.
7%.
90% in 2020. 90% of the media's political donations went to Democrats.
Jeez.
And here's the thing. Before we go to big tech and Andrew Tate being removed from all the platforms at once, I've said this quite a few times. And I would love for you to comment below on maybe the conspiracy theories that you believe. My sort of litmus test with a conspiracy, and whether or not it is a conspiracy, because a conspiracy is generally something where you're simply speculating. You don't have a lot of information. My litmus test for that, like Area 51, the janitor's going to keep secret? No, of course not. But if it only requires a handful of people to make it happen, so with big tech, a meeting of really 5 people, maybe some VPs call it 10. With media, when you're talking about legacy media, meaning all of the channels, right? There are 6 companies that control 90% of media outlets. 6 corporations control 90% of the media outlets. And by the way, we've had legal dust-ups with most of them. So there's Comcast, that's NBC Universal. Then, of course, there's Disney, and you guys know there's that bundle with Disney, Hulu, ESPN. They own a bunch. It's also ABC. Yeah. So ABC, Disney, NBC, Universal, Comcast. Then there's CBS. CBS, I forgot the parent company with CBS. Someone can let me know. I'm going by rote here.
That's GE?
No, I don't know. CBS is another big multi conglomerate. And then there's Viacom. Mm-hmm. Those are basically the main ones. Then you have News Corp, which everyone points to with Fox News. That's one channel, as opposed to ABC Disney, as opposed to NBC Universal, Comcast, and AT&T also runs some of the media out there. But really, you're looking at a handful of companies who control everything. And here's something really important. YouTube, Google, right? These people spend the most amount of money on advertising.
Yeah.
So once upon a time, Joe Rogan started his podcast. It was just him and a webcam. I remember watching him when it was him, a webcam, Boss Rutan, early on. Didn't even really have a microphone, right? Anyone could be, well, if you were an early adopter, anyone could have their own show. There were no more gatekeepers. I remember when I was on Fox News for 4.5 years, I had a YouTube channel. At that point, it was the biggest conservative YouTube channel. I think it maybe had 80,000 subscribers. And I asked them if I could put some clips up on YouTube when I would appear on Fox. You know, I would fill in a host. I would do segments maybe 4 or 5 times a week. They said, sure. Then the legal department had it removed because they thought YouTube was a fad. Now, they are the ones, including News Corp, but NBC, Universal, CBS, ABC, Disney, they're the ones who spend the bulk of advertising on these new media outlets. And so what do? Well, if you're watching this show not today on YouTube, it'll autoplay something like Seth Meyers or Stephen Colbert. So they get the right of way and the little guy gets pushed out. It's not a conspiracy. You only need 4 to 6 companies. And by the way, I've been on these calls. I think you've been on some of those calls. Mm-hmm. Or they've said, well, your content's not advertiser friendly. And I've said, wait a second. I would like to advertise in content like mine. Is there more? And I'm not allowed to.
You should probably tell that to the sponsors that come knocking on the door all the time, that it's not advertiser friendly.
Well, what they really mean is advertisers like CBS, NBC, Universal, Turner, Warner Bros. They're saying they don't want to advertise and they want to actually get the right of way over you so you won't show up in browser suggested. And by the way, notifications won't work.
Well, that's just the easy way for them to hide. Either way, it's not about advertisers, it's just about them shutting you up.
Right.
That's it. Denying you the ability to make a living and to get your viewpoint out there.
And it still didn't work with Brian Stelter. But that's the point. For the longest time, they would silence. They would push out voices like this show, and they're still doing it, and they would try and prop up. Brian Stelter's the latest example. He's an example of a failure. But for years, Brian Williams was successful until he got caught. For years, Cuomo was a success until he got caught. For years, people still think Walter Cronkite was, my God, an actual journalist. Yeah. Read some quotes from him. That man was as biased as he could possibly be. Dan Rather was very successful, was seen as the epitome of ethical journalism until he got caught.
Right. And YouTube, some of YouTube's favorite Sun channels that we shall not mention, get all the funding in the world and still suck.
Yes, we are not funded by a foreign caliphate. We are funded by actual viewers like you.
Indeed.
All right, let's move on to, what was CBS? Did we find the parent company, guys? CBS really quickly? No? All right, let me know. I'm going back. I can't remember. It's another, is CBS part of Warner?
I don't know.
Okay.
White Westinghouse dryers?
Yes. I don't think so.
So Andrew Tate. Let's move on to Andrew Tate here. This is a story. I don't know how familiar you are with Andrew Tate, but he was banned from TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. And by the way, if you can hear this, so you can hear the rain in our microphone today. It is monsooning in Texas. There are flood warnings everywhere. We're okay. Our computer shut down this morning, though.
We need it.
So Andrew Tate, banned from TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all in one weekend. One weekend. Is it a conspiracy to say there's obvious collusion at that point? Genuine question. Comment below. How do all of these companies say, yeah, we'll ban them at the exact same time? They had a countdown clock behind the scenes.
Until they flipped a switch.
So he had built up 4.7 million Instagram followers, right? It was up from 1 million in June 2022. Now, just to be clear, this is not a segment supporting everything that Andrew Tate has said, but I don't have to support everything that someone has said to just understand that someone being memory holed is a problem. And I think Andrew Tate has been right about quite a few things, and I think he's a little bit close to the target. He was banned in 2016, by the way, from Twitter. Yeah, Twitter. For remarks about women and rape. Just so I read the quote, so you don't think that I'm whitewashing it. He said, "If you put yourself in a position to be raped, you must bear some of the responsibility. I'm not saying it's okay you got raped." That is the tweet taken out of context in relation to his video broadcast where he clarified that. He's clearly not saying that it's your fault if you get raped. He's saying there's some responsibility. I don't necessarily know that I agree with the way it was phrased. I don't care. He has the right to say that. It's an opinion, and he's not hurting anybody with that opinion. Now, you might say he's hurting somebody because you believe that words are violence, but you also say silence is violence. So I don't know what you want me to do.
Nothing.
See, that was violence.
See, that was violent right there. That was the point. How dare you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Monster.
So a TikTok...
Dress very rapeably.
Yes. A TikTok spokesperson who also happened to be banging Eric Swalwell.
Oh, really?
Those spies.
Poor guy can't catch a break.
I'm moderator. And I blow Swalwell on weekend.
That's what she thinks her American name is.
Yes. For no God and country. Now.
Hello.
No.
Little Marxist, atheist. It's a genre. Yeah. So a TikTok spokesperson commented on the current ban of Andrew Tate saying, "Misogyny is hateful ideology that is not tolerated on TikTok. Also, no Uyghur. Our investigation into this content is ongoing, and we continue to remove violative accounts and videos that promote misogyny and other hateful behavior." Yeah, by the way, praising the Communist Chinese Party, still aces with TikTok.
Oh my gosh, I really can't believe that they're going after misogyny. Like, even if this person wasn't joking, which he obviously was in some cases, even if he wasn't taken out of context, which he obviously was in some cases, again, not supporting everything he said because I don't know everything he said, for misogyny?
Yeah.
That's the line now? I don't agree with misogyny, but I'm just saying, like, that I didn't realize that was a cancelable offense.
Sometimes you agree with misogyny.
I don't.
When in China. Now.
Not even then.
You might think,
on a birthday.
Yes. You might think, okay, so another influencer banned. So what? And I understand it sort of becomes a white noise.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of things. Again, it's all of these companies getting together. Now, hopefully you sort of see the tapestry that's being weaved here. It's all of these companies that told you Brian Stelter was a reliable source. It's all these companies that have determined what is violative on these social media platforms. So you have 5 or 6 companies that run legacy media. They put more money into new media, big tech, than any other companies can, right? So that they make sure they continue their stranglehold.
Yeah.
And then all of the big tech companies remove people like that. All at once. We have Alex Jones. Of course, that happened. People say, well, he's extremist, so I understand he's being removed. Then Donald Trump. And people say, well, I don't. Now Andrew Tate. The point is they're just trying to broaden the reason for banning somebody. And then, of course, they can go after you. And many of you have experienced that. That's why we're on Rumble here right now.
Yeah, and one of the problems with doing this is that if you take away somebody's ability to fight, which is exactly what they're doing, right? You get them off of all platforms at one time, then you can push out, here's our problem. You can take a video out of context and say, see, this is what he said. And he has no voice now to clarify.
Right.
Nobody's going to take him on a show that has mainstream appeal. Nobody's going to take him on a show on one of those platforms because maybe that's a loophole and they'll get banned for doing it.
Oh, we will.
Oh, absolutely. We would do it.
We did it with Alex Jones right after he was banned. Remember, from all of big tech. And even some of his friends sort of abandoned him. And right now, by the way, Rumble, we're on audio. You can listen on Spotify. You can listen on Apple. You can listen on Android. We're at the point where we'd love it to be more, but we have enough of you tuning in, regardless of whether or not we are on YouTube. It still works.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
We need more of you guys.
We're very fortunate
to get over there.
Yeah.
But Rumble is so you have no opportunity to defend yourself. I mean, that for me, that is one of the worst things because there is no way for you to come out and say, no, that's not what I said.
Right.
They take away all of that ability and just put it out there. And then you have guys like Brian Stelter saying, yeah, see, we said it, so it must be true.
Right. No, absolutely. Brian Stelter thought that people should be removed for misinformation when he was a purveyor of the Russia hoax.
Yeah.
Jussie Smollett. The point is, he was working with big tech. Again, flashing Google, Twitter, Facebook, constantly having big tech representatives on there. And they act as though they legitimized him. They want you to be afraid to say, we don't want to legitimize Andrew Tate. You legitimized super straight Stelter for years.
Yes. You made us think he was straight. I'm kidding. You didn't.
No, nobody.
Nor did you. It was about as convincing as him being reliable.
I know, right? Reliable and straight.
Reliable anyway, showed up late for work with his purse. Okay.
Yeah, just limping.
So why was...
Why are you bull-legged? You know why. Where's brunch?
It's 8 a.m.
So why was Andrew Tate banned? There's a bunch of stuff that he has said that is clearly over the top joking. Do you see it for what it is, or do you see this as actual misogyny? If you have kids, they probably don't want to watch this clip, but this is not a guy who's creating content for kids. Here you go.
Oh, you cheater, you're cheating. It's bang out the machete, boom in her face, and grip her up by the neck. But shut up, bitch. Her panties get machete's on the floor, her panties are all wet. You go her. Every real G knows these basic moves. These are the basic moves of pimping.
You can tell he's hiding a I don't really believe this smile.
Of course.
The whole time.
That's not my brand of humor, but still.
It's not mine either, and I'm pretty dark.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he's just doing the opposite day kind of sarcasm.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like, yes, he does. Also, a pimp would not sort up his gal. You couldn't sell her for much.
No, exactly.
That's true.
And
That's
I say
bad
that as
pimp.
a true G.
Yes. He is. I've seen him.
That is the whitest G I've ever heard.
Across
Have you
100
felt
and
my
Dave
hand?
Street.
I know.
Trying to catch a woman who's weak.
Hit my bitch with a machete.
Oops, that was a mistake.
Grabbing an Aladdin sword off the street.
Man, Bobby
Just laying
Womack
around.
really, he destroyed his own business.
Yeah, it's weird. He's just slicing him up.
All right, let's go to...
Do you want my lady? She's bleeding everywhere. No,
I do not.
I thought it was a thing. Thought it was a thing now. We want bloody bitches from machetes.
Nope. No.
Andrew Tate, you failed me once again. Like, people are acting as though this is going to be taken seriously. No. And I will say this is a problem, too, unfortunately, for people like Andrew Tate. We've talked about this. As people who have worked not only in comedy clubs, but particularly also with what I've done for many, many years, you need to know where the line is so that you can walk up to it and smack the person right behind the line and take a step back. People who haven't done this with a live audience, who have been doing this for a long time, unfortunately, you see this a lot, right? This is why we have some longevity here, and I'm incredibly grateful. Knowing, when to fold them, when to hold them.
Yeah. You've saved me several times.
Yes. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't mean that we self-censor. It just means that we know, okay, what we can say on which platform at which time and make sure that we provide full context. But, you see, how many people do you see who go up and say, oh, it was a joke? And as a comedian, you say, yeah, I would be able to tell you that you can't get away with that.
Of course.
Yeah.
But there's a line sometimes. It's just some people don't get the timing and they don't get how to deliver it yet.
Right.
There's a certain amount of time that takes practice before you can just start doing it. It's why when you see an open micer try to just say something shocking, it's just cringy and impossible to watch.
But they shouldn't get banned for it.
No,
that's the issue.
Well, it's a learning curve.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is the problem, right? You should be able to fail, but now everyone fails publicly, and unfortunately, the laws are not applied equally. So your failure will be used against you based on your political point of view. Whereas with someone else like Brian Stelter, they renew you until they don't. Probably would have been renewed if he was like $250,000 a year, but not at $1 million. At that point, they said, we're not. This is a plushy stone you can't squeeze blood from. I'm a child. Now, could he have been banned, Andrew Tate, because he was creating content that appealed particularly to young men? And you saw this with Jordan Peterson quite a bit, right, who was suspended there on Twitter. Young men, particularly young men who are lonely, and this is something that we talked about actually last week.
Saying that I felt like crying, so I cried, this makes me a real man, is as stupid as me saying, well, I felt like smashing his face in, so I smashed his face in. This makes me a real man. No. The hallmark of a real man is controlling himself, controlling his emotions, and acting appropriately regardless of how he feels. And throughout human history, this is exactly how men had to live their lives.
And by the way, that's a really important example because people try and say this guy's just a douche, a machete. And look, you may or may not think that. But he used both sides of that equation.
Yeah.
He said this idea that crying, which is what the far left says, right? Toxic masculinity has made it more difficult for men to cry. Well, that's not true, by the way. We just don't cry openly all the time to make it about ourselves, and usually not in front of our women. Men usually cry in front of their male friends, their most trusted friends. Women, just so you know. Right? We've all been there. We've all been there when we have our men's group. I've had very, very good, strong men sob in my arms that were appropriate. Good friends of mine. Women, it's because men don't want to show you weakness. They don't want you to see them completely out of control because they try and control their emotions because that's what a leader needs to do. He used that example, but then he also said this false machismo of just going out and smacking a guy doesn't show you're a real man. It is entirely consistent I do believe that is the epitome of masculinity, is being able to control your emotions. I agree with that point that he made.
Yeah, absolutely. And he said that this is how men have had to kind of conduct their lives throughout history. It's true, because if you go out and slap somebody, especially a long time ago, you get killed. There's a line. Like, other men will hold you accountable by either beating you down, worse than what we saw in the cop video, or just you're dead.
Yeah.
You're done.
Pistols at dawn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's why I slap someone with a glove.
Yes.
And then it's a duel.
Yeah.
I could use a good cry.
I'm still not entirely sure what a gauntlet is.
No.
But I know that throwing it means something.
Yes.
Or running it.
Yeah. And by the way, it could have been something like this also. Andrew Tate. I don't know his political leanings. I think he leans right. Content that he had put out discussing COVID, masks. I wonder why this could be a problem on Chinese-funded, owned, and operated TikTok.
Something, man. When this corona thing was going on, I tried to fly. I flew here from Romania on Wizz Air because you can't get first-class flights into Europe. It's all just low-cost carriers. I'm flying Wizz Air. I have a mask on. Excuse me, sir, put the mask over your nose. Air stewardess is minimum wage. So I put my mask on my nose. Everyone was freaking out about masks. I had to fill in all these home office papers when I landed, all this crap, PCR test, blah, blah, blah. I thought I'm not doing that again. So about 2 months later, I flew on a private plane. No mask, no PCR test, no home office paperwork. My pilots weren't wearing masks. When I landed at Biggin Hill Airport, the people who met me in the BMW, no one was wearing a mask. Nobody had a mask on. No one asked me to fill in. You know why? Because I was rich. Corona doesn't exist for the rich people. As soon as you pay 50 grand for a flight, no, they don't trouble you then. They trouble the on the Wizz Air flight. It's all scam.
What is Wizz Air?
I have no idea.
It must be like the Spirit Airlines of Europe.
I was like, is it like an airline like owned by Wiz Khalifa, like with
know.
like Shaq with Icy Hot?
Yeah.
Or the General, or any other crap Shaq can sell and slap his name on?
It runs on pee.
Brilliant. Oh, those Wizz Air.
Stelter says, sign me up. Oh, you mean it's fuel.
Oh,
no.
Rats.
You know, his dream is to be in one of those anti-gravity planes, blimps.
Oh, yeah.
Just pee.
Everywhere.
Here's some sprinkles.
Na, 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 na. There's pee. There's pee. Just floating by.
Yay.
Like
I
flubber.
want it on me.
Watering the daisies with my daffodil.
Fabulous. See, this is what happens. Out of context.
It's out of context. And you know what? There's no context, though, in which someone clips that, and it is not understood and valid.
No.
I think everyone knows where we're coming from. You say Brian Stelter, pee in the same phrase, they go, we get it.
No, they understand.
Yeah, it makes
We
It
get
could
it.
be smell.
Yeah.
It could be what is covered in his Crocs.
It could be.
Yes.
There's no way he doesn't wear Crocs.
Walking in Crocs with, I'm picturing like Paddington Bear, rubber
Oh, yeah.
boots, only his Crocs, and he's wading through pee.
You know right now.
I'm
he's wearing-
singing in the pee.
You have galoshes. Why are you wearing Crocs?
Yeah. You know right now he's got Crocs on and just a robe and he's hunched just looking in the fridge.
Yes.
Just going like,
In his
why
bathroom
is-
fridge.
Yeah, his bathroom.
His wife's
Just
bags
why
are at
is
the
this
door.
all health food? I don't want you to kill yourself, Brian.
That's not health food, it's pizza pockets.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I said,
Yes.
health shit.
Tostino's health food. Bagel health.
I told you not to get the flaming hot Cheetos. It irritates my ulcerative colitis.
Yes.
Maybe it could be the 9 pounds of food per meal that irritates your colon.
The boys have asked me not to eat it. It burns them.
It burns. All right, here's another thing with Andrew Tate. So he's masks, right? This is someone who's been obviously speaking to young men, particularly young white men, who need some people who can speak to them, right? People who feel as though they're not heard. He's talked about this quite a bit. This is something that we see quite a bit in society. And by the way, the backlash, if you keep telling young white males that they are the problem, that they are the root cause of all evils of the world, guess what? One generation. All it takes is one generation of backlash, and you will end up with some pissed off, some angry people who, by the way, will still make up the largest demographic in the United States. Maybe that's what they want. And he's also Andrew Tate, and my hat's off to him because we know how much trouble you can get into for doing this. He's talked about all the toxic females, not just men, twerking on social media, for example, like Megan the, not to be confused with Megan the Stallion. Here's a clip.
Hot girl summer, so you know she got it lit. No, she got it lit. Hot girl summer, so you know she got it lit.
Look, handle me? Who gon' handle me? Thinking he's a player, he's a member on the team.
Yeah. Very positive message.
Quality.
I feel like it would have an odor. You just walk out to the pool party and be like, does anybody
Smell.
Go in the water.
Wonka. Smell-o-vision. You'll hope it doesn't last.
Yo, Holmes.
Guess what it is? The suspense is its body odor.
Yes. It's
No, she came up, she twerked. I said no. Now, all of these companies, let's be clear, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Google, Instagram, TikTok. Again, we've talked about media, 6 companies. Call it 4 to 6 companies, depending on the day. They control 90% of legacy media. They also spend the vast majority of the advertising dollars on new media. Now you're talking about 5 companies who control everything. And there have been several instances where they have banned someone outright in unison on the same day. Alex Jones was an example. Remember, it was Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Apple. He was removed. YouTube, everything. Donald Trump was the same thing. And by the way, even interviews with Donald Trump have been removed from all of these platforms at once. It's not a conspiracy. At what point do we, it's not only at what point do we say, hey, this is happening out in the open. We know that. It's that they don't care anymore. So if they're doing this out in the open, it does beg the question, what is next? Where do they go from here? The only, if you look at the laws of progression of escalation, the only next step would be removing more people. Broadening the criteria for removing people. We had Alex Jones. People said, okay, I disagree with him. He's extremist. I disagree with Alex Jones on a whole lot. I had him on the show immediately. Donald Trump, a lot of people said, oh, I disagree. Oh, he was calling to violence because they didn't actually watch the clip where he said, make your voices heard peacefully. So they said, okay, get rid of him. Now Andrew Tate, you're going, okay, he swears. He seems maybe like a douchebag who wears sunglasses sometimes. I don't like what he says. How are you justifying the removal of these people? Because it's broadening, and very quickly it's going to be you. Also, the greatest injustice in all of this, Brian Stelter is still on all of the platforms.
For now.
All right. So he's been removed from
a diving board.
Yes. It sucks because I got the actual diving board Greg Louganis used.
Oh, the triple Lindy just falls, bleeding out of his side.
So now that he's been removed on TikTok, I found out that we have not been banned from TikTok yet, and we've really been trying. So you can follow me on TikTok at Louder W Crowder because my old account was banned. So it's Louder W Crowder. I know, but I'm really trying hard. I don't want to be on TikTok. I don't need another social media place to manage.
No.
So let's give it a little bit more. Let's go with gusto here. It's time to trash TikTok. See, that doesn't even get us banned.
No, you'd assume it would.
That's trying as well.
All right.
Effort.
And you guys can feel free to join in here. Tate, I guess only what he accomplished what we can only dream of, being banned from TikTok. So let's do this. I'm getting too old for this shit.
You is.
Let's just talk about, because we've talked about gender on TikTok. They haven't removed us. We've talked about Donald Trump in the election. They haven't removed us. I feel like they want us to be token conservatives, right-wing critics on TikTok, and they're not removing us. So we're just going to have to go for the gold here. Here's Xi Jinping. Yeah.
Oh.
Just a picture of him. That's an actual picture of Xi Jinping. Yep.
Wow.
Real.
As an American icon.
Very real.
That is real.
There's no proof.
We have more exclusive real news, TikTok. Real news pictures of Xi Jinping.
This is him last weekend.
This is him last weekend.
Last weekend. Oh, man.
That's real. It's as real as it gets.
You can tell it's not Photoshop.
No, not
No.
right.
No, he has a beard. Of course.
Yeah.
Here's Xi Jinping, by the way, surprised me, this one, waving the Taiwan flag. Yeah, that kind of surprised me. But you know what? Hey, you do you, Xi Jinping.
Yeah, that's interesting. But no, it's totally him.
Bit,
You
hypocritical.
dishonest, communist, human rights trampling piece of shit.
I like
TikTok,
his
come
missing
on.
chin.
Yes. Yes.
All real.
Like an old lady.
Yes.
Yep.
Also, by the way, he has never gotten a hole-in-one in golf.
No.
No. Certainly not 16.
No. And he's a rapist.
Yep.
Here's Xi Jinping, by the way, stuck in a tree. Yeah, so this is another thing. So there you go. There's Xi Jinping.
Oh.
TikTok, fact check this. This is real news of your guy. Do they call him Prime Minister?
Yeah.
Ruler of your country, by the way.
They call him Winnie.
Yes.
Only behind his back.
Anything else? Dave, you want to add anything for TikTok?
I just think Xi Jinping, sorry. I forget how to say his name because he's so worthless.
Yes.
He has a lovely pair of breasts.
Yes, he does.
And I'd like to milk them.
Yeah. Well, he does that regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there's a good chance, this is actually something people don't know, that 84% of milk provided to the Chinese populace comes from Xi Jinping's breast.
Yes, and his milking table.
Yeah. It's like Mad Max.
Yeah.
But let's bring some science into this. But Xi Jinping,
it's 80% fat.
Yes.
Though he has those breasts that provide for the nation,
It's just like Brian Stelter. He has the auto machine. He opens his door in his robe, and it's just what?
Is he a fembot?
They'll get swollen if I don't.
Your boobs are huge.
Even
like
I
a
can't
queen
believe
bee.
it's not Gigi. Has a little bit of Gigi in it.
Yes,
He does. Yeah.
Country ping.
Yeah.
So even though he has those breasts, he has a penis and therefore is a man.
It's science.
Yes, you are a man, Xi Jinping, because of your penis, though a very weak one.
You have to look diligently
Yes.
to find it. But
Yeah. I mean, it's
nonetheless,
really
there.
It's microscopic.
Yeah,
It's what's the deformity is the word?
Yes.
It's micropenis.
The telescope
that's
thing
it.
backwards.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, for new nanotechnology, instead of, because they go by milligrams, it's too small, they go by pingrams.
Yeah.
Xi Jinping pingrams.
Whenever he shaves with a Bic razor, he has to immediately go to the ER.
Yes.
I cut it off again.
Oh, no.
That's why we can't even use them in the Manscaped commercial.
Thought it was a hair. It's
No,
weird,
people don't realize it's just like a little mushroom cap.
Yeah.
Trying to think, is there anything else that we can say here to get us removed from TikTok?
What was the inchworm? It's what you would call a centimeter worm.
Yes, a pingworm.
Pingworm.
He changed the name. That's so big, inches.
Yeah, I don't use that side of the ruler.
Also, by the way, China, you guys kill Uyghurs, of course, right? You violate human rights.
Yes.
You're a horrible country who has no business becoming the next superpower. I don't think you will if we get the right president in office. And what else? You know what? Your ancient medicine sucks. I'm sorry. When people say, oh, ancient Chinese medicine, I know it's bullshit that doesn't work.
Yeah, because I've tried the detergent that said the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And when they say ancient Chinese medicine, I'm like, what? Oh, you're gonna give me a pack of Marlboros and ask me to drown my daughter?
Yeah, is the ancient Chinese secret leaving yellow stains?
Right. Is it scorpions, deep fried, and sewer shit?
What a great country.
Yeah, what a fan. And by the way, love the Chinese people.
Yes, great people.
Because the Chinese people would not be allowed to say this on TikTok.
No,
it's
but they want
Xi
to.
Jinping and the rulers who I hate.
Yes.
And I hope to be found in, a Gap Kids casket, lowered, so it looks like a family. You could put it right next to Brian Stelter's California King casket for scale. And I don't mean actually kill Xi Jinping.
No.
I mean the government. Although, you know what? I'm just saying, if it was natural causes,
right,
I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
I would be absolutely fine with it.
Like if he bled out from shaving his micropenis.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. That's exactly what we don't hope for. Xi Jinping, TikTok, your move. Also, TikTok, that guy in the intro, he's Polish, so that's double racist.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Okay, we are actually going to talk about the Finnish prime minister here. If you're watching on Rumble, hit the Rumble button. Of course, you can share this because Rumble's actually honest with the algorithms. They don't really have algorithms. It's you pick what you watch, kind of like YouTube used to be. Mug Club, $30 off. LiveWithCrowd.com/MugClub. Enter in the promo code Free Speech. We're going to do another hour of show on Mug Club. Rumble, unlike YouTube, we actually do sincerely thank you for hosting us for the free portion.